Family, what's up? I'm here with the one and only Kevin Orosz, KO, and we're here to start talking to you about this idea that we're birthing, this idea of the wild sovereign, something that's going to take men into a place of leadership and expression that the world needs so deeply right now, going beyond the major four archetypes, the king, warrior, magician, lover, that we understand are important, but there is a need to resuscitate, breathe new life into these energies. And Kevin and I have been rapping on this for some time, and we're super excited to start jamming on it and talking about it. So we're here to just share what's alive for us and to hear from y'all, as we speak, if something comes up, share a question, share a thought, like let's make this collaborative. What's up, Kevin? Good to see you.
Yeah, brother Kyle, so good to see you, man, out there in the Pura Vida jungles. And yeah, this is a great topic. We've been talking behind the scenes about this, and we had the privilege of being in the same men's group for a good minute. And this topic, I think, gets thrown around a lot in the let's call it the truther movement or the New Age community of the sovereign or sovereignty. Like, what does sovereignty mean, right? Sovereignty was a huge conversation during COVID because this whole idea of body sovereignty has been, well, it's been a conversation for a long time, but it's increased with things like abortion. It's like, well, it's my body, my choice. I have sovereignty over my body, which literally just means I have authority, or like it's my domain. And I
Mm-hmm.
actually want to pull up the etymology of sovereign because it's always good to study the
Yeah,
word magic here. Um, I feel like it's a French origin or something. It's from Middle English and Old French. Yeah. So
it makes
sovereign
sense.
in the old thing is like basically like it's used for states and governance, right? But it really deeply means autonomy, and I see it as an autonomy or an independence on a spiritual or energetic level. Because in history, sovereignty is like, oh, we're the sovereign kingdom of Germany, right? And we
Mm-hmm.
don't want to, be a vassal of like England or Russia or whatever. And that's how like sovereignty has been used in history. But sovereignty isn't created externally because you signed a document saying, hey, this is my land, it's my country, blah, blah, blah. Like it's an actual, it's a life experience and it's a decision that you make. And so, yeah, the base idea I think we've kind of been talking about is how do we combine, like you said, going beyond the traditional archetypes, bringing back the more wild, primal, you call them pagan, Celtic, masculine essence and archetype, which I think is
Mm-hmm.
very much needed in the world. And also, how does sovereignty play into that? Sovereignty with your career, work, money, purpose, sex, love, relationships, and then, yeah, your family, your clan, your relations, right?
And
Those
your community, your
circle.
government. It's no lie right now that we're all enslaved. We've been programmed to follow a doctrine that most of us aren't even fully aware of. And so there's a powerful polarity in this idea of the wild sovereign. It's like the wild goes way, way back to the visceral primeval roots of the innate masculine essence that is of the wild man, this core archetype, the green man. We got Dionysus, we got Shiva, even Jesus to an extent, like this attachment, not attachment, but connection to this force of masculinity. And that's deep within us. It's like subconscious. And then the sovereign is where we're headed. It's like claiming full authority as a man, as a leader. And in a way, I'm feeling this term beyond encompassing, but going beyond like the king and the queen, because the king and the queen is important, but they're too wrapped up in this dependency. The king necessitates a queen, queen necessitates a king, but the sovereign is fully independent. So if you're going to sit in a circle with men or women or in a council, if you don't have full sovereignty over your gifts, over your skills, over your service in the world, no one's going to take you seriously. And so in between, the space between the wild and the sovereign is that journey through the king, the warrior, the magician, and the lover, and all the shadows of them that come up in their bipolar essence.
Yeah. No, well said. It's beautiful. I mean, yeah, Yeshua was totally a wild man. He literally is going into the desert and fasting, communing with spirits, praying, doing religious practice. If you believe in the alternate kind of versions, Yeshua traveled to the east and trained with like Taoist monks and like Indian sages and like, this idea, not the one in the Bible, but he was a total wild man. He's primal. And what's funny, you brought up Dionysus. I mean, you can go through the whole list, right? Dionysus, the story of Ra and Horus. What are the other like Dionysian type? I mean, there's Pan. These masculine,
Oberon.
yeah, Orion. There's you could even put in Odin in there, Thor. Like all the stories are about a man going into the wilderness and experiencing death and resurrection and going on the hero's journey, gaining mentors, followers, enemies, going into the abyss. But they have the primal essence, and it's an ancient like lineage. And like Christ, whoever wrote the Bible and created these stories, um, they obviously read those older stories, and there's a through line through all of them. And I think modern people, I mean, back to what you said, this is painful for a lot of people to even think about, because we associate slavery with like, here in America, it's like, yeah, a couple hundred years ago, we used to buy and sell humans and beat them to like grow and
Yeah.
crops. It's like, oh, slavery. But slavery can be a very subtle thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Orwell and Huxley describe slavery in Brave New World in 1984. Most required reading for being a human right now, in my opinion.
Totally.
Slavery is actually like your mind is enslaved. You're
That's
completely
it.
free to travel anywhere. You can travel out. There's no bars holding you back. You have a nice job. You got all these amenities, but your thinking and language is very much caged in. And as soon as you leave the cage, like the other prisoners are the wardens. There's no one that's going to come to you and say, no, 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 that's not a government approved thought. Your friends and family would be like, are you a conspiracy theorist?
Yeah.
Are
And
you
are
like,
we not getting there? There are some things that we can say now that literally get us canceled, right? And like, how is your home and your cubicle not in some way your pen, your cell?
yeah. Yeah, the cubicle model, I mean, this is what's crazy. Like, there's all these funny memes where it's like you zoom ahead 100 years in the future, right? Technology, all this crazy shit. And it's like, what has changed and what hasn't? And you can go backwards 100 years. What looks exactly the same are schools, education, and like workplaces,
Mm-hmm.
because they're not designed for the human spirit and creativity. They literally resemble prisons, like the way it's like everything's square box, everything's perfectly linear. And it's literally about going somewhere, sitting in the same place, and either getting information poured in, like indoctrination, or just
Mm-hmm.
getting stuff out, like producing, working, learning. It resembles a prison. It's gnarly. And the Matrix described all of this for us. You know,
Man, I just saw a dope reel where it was who was the man who played Morpheus?
Lawrence Fishburne.
Lawrence Fishburne was speaking with the other really popular physicist and astronomer, black man. Wow, I'm forgetting names today.
Neil deGrasse
Neil.
Tyson.
And they were talking about Lawrence was confirming this, that the Matrix is a story about Jesus, right? And Cypher is the one who like fucks everything up. Like it's all the same stories being played out in a new lens and a new perspective, so people can hear it with the right eyes to see. You're talking about mental slavery. Well, think about all the medications our viewers might be on, keeping you sick, keeping you anxious, stuck, depressed, OCD, ADHD. None of this is being cured. It's making you malleable. It's making you susceptible. It's making you afraid. It's keeping you in line because there's no other way out. They have a hang on you. And like you said too, in these institutions, the way we gather, where are the circles? Where's the strength of community? We're all boxed in and being spoken at and given without choice. And we say this is freedom.
Yeah. It's like
It's
what
no
kinds
sovereignty.
of freedom are allowed, right? Because we
Mm-hmm.
have freedom to travel the world. I mean, within limits, right? We can't get into Tibet, certain parts. We may not be able to stay very long in China, but we have
Yeah.
like physical freedom in some ways. We have emotional and relationship freedom. We used to be in arranged marriages. Now we can do that. So freedom and liberty have won out in many ways, like the dream of liberal democracy and like government as it exists now. There's many benefits. I don't want to throw the baby out the bathwater. But more than ever, like in England right now, you could literally tweet something saying, the Labour Party or Parliament is full of shit. There's immigrants in our cities, hurting people, and I think it's wrong. And it's not that you get canceled; you'll literally go to jail for that. That's literally happening in England right now. That is insane. That's thought police. It's literally thought police from 1984.
I mean, doesn't China also have this like social credit system where they, in some places, are tracking your actions and they give you a score? And if your score is too low, like you can't go to some places, you can't eat some places, you get your car taken, you're into house arrest. Like this is happening. It's Orwellian. And like somehow we're letting it happen and no one's up in arms about it. And they think it's okay. It's like, wow, where did our power go? Like, who's standing up? Who's speaking out? Oh, because they're canceling you if you speak out against it too. And they have people who are programmed to take their side. The powers that be don't have to do anything.
It's the Agent Smith phenomenon, which is one of the scariest things. I'm sure most people have probably experienced it. You have a radical idea, or you want to share something, and a friend you were just talking to, maybe even a family member, who is completely rational in one moment, like goes into the Agent Smith, where it's like he like Agent Smith hacks into them, and they start repeating like news headlines to you or sound bites. Well, don't you know, like, this is how it is. You know that, right? You're not a conspiracy theorist. And you're like, wait, who is this person? That's not my brother or my bro anymore. Or that's not my friend. What the hell is that? Like, it's freaky. I've watched it happen and had the eerie, it is eerie. Like, it's not like they're getting possessed. I mean, they are by
Right.
thought form, but like, it's a very eerie thing to watch because their face changes and their mannerisms, their body language. And I'm just watching it and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's freaky. And like most people go through their life, and for them, again, we go back to the tribal primal stuff. Being exiled from the tribe, canceled, cast out, is worse than
Happening a different way.
right.
Yeah. There's just a so subtle now. Hey, for those of you who join on Instagram, if you want to hear the other side of the conversation, go to Facebook, go to my newsfeed, and click on the live stream here. I got another man on the end. We're having a great conversation.
Which side, I don't know if you're on Facebook. I'm on your page and I don't see the stream. Just want to double check that. I
So this
couldn't,
is
couldn't
streaming.
see it or share it. I'm refreshing it.
Let me check that right now.
Yeah, the thought policing is crazy. This is an idea that is in some of the Soviet writing from when Soviet Russia was going psycho. And also I think it's in I heard it from like some metal albums, but it's this idea of the panopticon. So
Let me throw the
panopticon,
link in there for you. I got it.
you got it?
Yeah, I'm just going to send it to your WhatsApp because I see it right here.
Is it public though? Because I'm on your public page and I can't see anything.
I don't know. I know there's one just the other day for my podcast that was on there. I got a link here and I can hit play. Yeah. Yeah, it's going.
Okay. I don't know why I can't see it. Yeah, this idea of panopticon is pretty freaky. It's basically like the ultimate prison. So it's a prison where at all times, every prison guard or warden can see every prisoner. So it's like this circular hellscape of like surveillance and like you have no privacy. It's like the prisoners can be seen from all sides. It's like the ultimate prison. And there's this idea that like we live in the panopticon because of the surveillance state. Like all the tech is doing that on a technological level. But then what we're talking about with this Agent Smith is like socially, you're in a panopticon. I've done this many times because I like to talk shit. I have strong opinions. I'm open to being wrong if like I have good evidence, or someone's more learned than me and they're like, that's not how it is. But I'll literally say something at a party, you're like out, and like everyone will team up on me like they're the prison guard saying, well, no, this is dangerous thinking. This is bullshit. And you're bad. It's not just that what you're thinking is wrong. Fair enough. We all make mistakes. It's that you're bad for thinking that way. And I'm like it's crazy.
Yeah, that's not free thinking. That's not sovereign thinking. And the powers that be have already created a trope and a meme around that to cause division. Oh, NPCs. And so if you like call them out for that, they defend. Oh, you call me an NPC? You think I don't have free thought and free will? And just goes to another narrative of parroting.
Yeah. It's wild, man. So like this, I guess I would love to hear for you, like how do you like definitionally set up sovereignty, or like what does it look like? Because a lot of people are probably hearing sovereign man, wild man, and they're like, cool concepts, but like, what does it actually look like or mean?
I mean, of course, there's systems of sovereignty, right? You can be sovereign from like the power grid and utilities. You can be sovereign financially. You can live in an enclosed community somewhere in like the jungle at Costa Rica and be taking care of yourself. But what comes first, and why most of these other higher level systems of sovereignty fail, because you don't get it inside first, right? And going back to the 4 basic archetypes, king, warrior, magician, lover, I feel like the reason why we need more warrior and king energy now more than ever, because we spent enough time with the magician. Like the world is run by immature magicians playing with fire that they haven't been initiated to hold, like AI, for example, which the sovereign people are getting a hand into to craft. And the lover, goodness, ever since like Me Too, we've been sitting back, paying attention, listening, nonviolent communication, authentic relating. But then the warrior and the king come in now to start developing sovereignty, where we are reclaiming our thoughts and expressing the realm of speech, which is putting what we are feeling inside out there without fear of being wrong, like you just said. And so many men, I've been sitting with men for every week here, for like 2 years. It's still a struggle to get them during the love around to actually name feelings. I think this, I think that, or some abstract idea like I'm trapped. I'm like, what does that feel like? And becoming vulnerable and clear with how you are feeling is a first step into like getting in these reps with expressing oneself. And then when men feel comfortable around sharing their feelings with other men, then they can get more comfortable in feeling, sharing their thoughts. And then their thoughts go out further and further. We feel supported in council, in circle, right? In community. And like, I think that is what the major step towards sovereignty is right now. We could talk about other things too, like financial sovereignty. There's ways to that with other models out there with crypto, or like certain like loopholes in the system, which allow you to create a business or a community that's like largely tax exempt, food sovereignty, plant your garden, things of that nature. But if you're not coming from here first, you're going to get to a point where you're going to be afraid, you're going to be attacked, and it's all going to fall apart because it's not built upon self-sovereignty. And it also comes down to understanding your purpose, like what you're really here to do. My work isn't working with my clients. The work that I do is the work of myself on the mat and practice every morning. I serve from that place. And that service comes from connection to God. That's king energy. King serves God. Warrior serves the king. So this is kind of how I'm approaching sovereignty right now.
Yeah, I love it, man. It's so many nuanced breakdowns there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. The world needs way more king and warrior energy. And that's like in Jung's models in his writing, he makes the distinction between the tyrant and the senex, which are the bipolar expressions of king. So senex is Latin for like a wise king or ruler, like a sage. Basically, the old man who's done all the shit, he's moved through king or warrior, magician, and lover. He becomes the senex if he's in service to others. He's basically like, I know a lot of shit. I want to bring up the next generation and rule and like hold a sovereign space for like blessings and fecundity and fertility to flow. Most of our leaders, like you said, the tech leaders, total fucking magician boys who have godlike power. AI is insane. I don't fuck with AI. I probably should because I know it's really useful, but I'm literally watching people with AI just for like this is the side tangent on magician. People are becoming like dependent, aka addicted, aka like dumbed down. Like there's this idea of like technology induced autism where you're so reliant on ChatGPT to answer all your questions, do all your shit, or you're so reliant on Snapchat or Instagram. You become socially retarded, like in the technical sense, where you're like,
totally,
you can't really you
backwards.
don't really know what to do because you need the AI to tell you the thing so you feel smart. Or like, how do you date when, well, her profile, she has an OnlyFans account and it's AI generated and edited. It's like people are getting fucked up because they don't have, the magician has to be in a relationship to king and warrior, because if it's just magician, and I know this stuff because I still have plenty to work on. Like I go like you into like crazy mythomaniac magician states because I love to research and I love technology, but that shit is so ungrounded. And these people are the biggest people in the world right now. It's like, what is this?
I mean, this is reminding me of another prison out there that, I understood conceptually, but I saw it last night, like maybe once a quarter, unplanned. I'll find myself like scrolling Instagram a bit, just looking at reels for things I enjoy. But then the more you go, the more it brings in like this outlier niche content, something that has nothing to do with my interest. And I was seeing all these videos of people in VR, but not just like any VR spaces, like these deeply troubled, like autistic folks, the ones who have like really paralyzing identity disorders, and they literally are living in VR in these other prisons because they can't they can't go out into the world and socialize because it's too dangerous, and they don't have the energy to speak for themselves, to defend themselves without getting offended or feeling victimized. And like this particular account was someone who was kind of trolling them, but it gave me a really deep look into like another level of prison. Some people's personalities are so warped, and they're on so many medications for things that we can't address. But now they're living entirely in a different world. It's fabricated by technology, and they're trapped there. It's the only place they're safe with people like them. So it's normalizing it all.
I mean, I've had my version of that because like a really good show or movie or like video games or even something simple like Tetris or I can get like absorbed where like you become the tech. Like
Mm-hmm.
technology is hyper seductive, and McKenna has some epic. Terrence McKenna predicted everything at a very high level that's happening right now. Like the dude is fucking
No
sick.
shit.
Go look up his videos from the 90s talking about what AI and VR are going to look. And he goes shamanic because that's his whole thing is a plant-based shamanism. The
Yeah.
Aztec and Mayan, like the Mesoamerican mystics and shamans used obsidian. So basically it's like looking into the black glass. This is also where Black Mirror comes from, by the way.
Shit.
The reflection, and there's the one of smoke, which is basically the seductive demon that can come through this thing. And it's literally technology. We're talking and using these black mirrors all the time. Obviously, they're amazing because we can scry. Like it's all magic. Like all the same shit technology does is magic spells, like scrying, like remote
Mm-hmm.
viewing. Oh, I can FaceTime you. We're scrying right now.
Mm-hmm.
Telepathy, all this shit. It's really amazing, and it's made the world a better place in so many ways. I love technology. We obviously use technology to work with people and help people and create and be artistic. It's awesome. The danger, though, is that people have been so seduced, they've completely left the natural world. Like I even have friends here. I love to hike. Like I'm obsessed with hiking. I'm going to be camping this summer. Like I was just
Mm-hmm.
raised, I was an Eagle Scout, so I'm like, I was blessed to be immersed in nature a lot when I was younger, and I've always had that. There's people I know that like, if it's too hot or there's bugs, like they can't be with nature. But then
Mm-hmm.
inside in air conditioning, it's just this. Like their focus is complete. Like they could look up. Like I look up at the tree line outside my window, or it's like it's like technology's pulling and sucking us down out of life. Like it's like a weird phenomenon.
Yeah, it's got this kind of like demonic, vampiric energy for sure. And going back to what you said about AI, yeah, a lot of people are using it like Google, and they're outsourcing their thinking now, not just like trivia, but their thinking. You know, I was kind of opposed to AI for a while until I came across some magicians here that have crafted it and weaved it into a tool, a suite of like bots that really work for them. And I've seen the light in AI. And now I believe that this technology is here for us, for the ones who like have this outlook that want to create the white mirror universe. Now, let's like make that. It's a tool to be wielded and to shaped. It's malleable right now, and it's going to take a lot of work. And I feel like people like us, we need to get on that and show people how to do it, because how else is the minority that want to step into their sovereignty and to assume our power, how else are we going to do that and help others do it if we're the minority? Like we need these tools and we need to learn how to use them ASAP.
No, I agree. I agree. I'm lagged behind. I'm an AI boomer, but part of the reason I haven't messed with it is because I never learned to code, but I used to like, build my own computers and like I know my way around tech really well and I love it. I know I'll get obsessed with it and go crazy. That's another reason I'm like, I'm just gonna wait a bit. I've seen dope stuff like a Toth AI or Thoth AI, where
Yeah.
they've completely trained it on like esoteric texts and it's actually like this mystic oracle. Like I've seen some really cool stuff. My problem when I've messed with GPT is it's so obvious, like painfully so. When you look up Wikipedia, it's like, oh, RFK Jr. wants to get rid of fluoride in tap water. And like someone doesn't know who that is. It's like, who's that? And they type in RFK Jr. And the Wikipedia article is, it's all official language. RFK Jr. is a dangerous pseudoscientific conspiracy theorist who like it's so like not whitewashed, but it's like so weaponized in a certain bias.
Yeah.
ChatGPT, like I was asking it some pretty basic stuff and like it was like chiding me for using certain words. It's like, don't use that word because that can be offensive to these groups. And I'm like as soon as I felt that energy, I was like, fuck this. Like, what kind of retarded, and I mean that in the technical sense, like retarded as in its development has been stifled. Like the AI can't
Yes.
even think about certain things because they're like, let's make this politically correct and safe because that's how we're going to get a billion users. Like I think OpenAI's market cap now, like what is it? It's
Mhm.
absolutely out of control because everyone wants it, and I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's worth with other AIs like Gemini that have a far more like political, social leaning. I found with ChatGPT, if you really lean in, if you really want to answer a complex question, you got to speak to it like a human being because it will reveal more the more curious you get. But that's a big problem. Like most of us don't have that curiosity anymore. We just want answers. We want answers. But yes, like you mentioned, like Thoth AI, I've heard others called Solace. There's a whole suite out there now called Creator Pro, which was made by someone from communities like ours for people like us who want to spin up these big ideas. And there's a bot for every position you could possibly have in a company of any size to help you build things. You just talk to the CEO and then you bring in the other bots and they build things out for you. I've seen my friends, like from their conversation start to finish, like fully flesh out just a vision, just their vision, and they're fully held. And I'm in the same place as you. I know if I get into AI, I'm going to get like wrapped up. But I found someone to work with who's already a master, and he just wants me to step in and do my shamanic work, men's work, and he's going to build everything out with that. So I was like, that's what I'm calling it, and that's the magic, and that's prayer. That's holding a strong vision, and that's also light magician work too. And so, I mean, going back to these four core archetypes, which are things that we'll address when we get our offering out there on the Wyld Sovereign, there's dark sides to these as well. With the warrior, you have the sadist and the masochist. With the lover, you have the addiction. With the wizard, you have the manipulator, the deceptor, and the king, the tyrant and the bully. As if any of you out there are feeling any of those energies in you, these are things that must be contended with. Now, there's always going to be some fragment of it there, but if you can't see it, feel it, and own it, you're not going to make it to sovereignty. You're going to stay in the victim. You're going to be blaming your family, your spouse, your girlfriend, the government, the world at large. And yeah, it's hard times, man. There are a lot of scapegoats out there, but sovereignty is full accountability, full circle, every facet of this diamond of masculine individuation into fully owning who you are and taking accountability. And that's what we need other men for. That's why we have to gather with men that have walked this path. They're a little further ahead of us, that can guide us, that can listen to us and move us along. They say that a man needs a mentor, like a second father or mother, to finally get into his purpose. Yeah. But before that, you need brothers around you to help you understand the path that you're on and to like help you feel seen, validated, and understood. Like trust them, people to trust to help you move along. And this is what we're here to figure out together. This is what we're here to offer.
Totally. Yeah, well said, brother. I mean, it's pretty wild. Sometimes I get this weird feeling where, like, I've been coaching for, I guess, 9 years now. And I've worked with older men. Like, I've worked with men as old as like 60. I've worked with fathers. I've worked with, professional men who made millions of dollars in their career, being very successful. And I'm sitting here, I'm 35, mentoring them, which is crazy to me. I'm like, you should be mentoring me because you have more age. But as we know, there's older and then there's elder, and like I'm doing the best I can. I've had a lot of different kinds of mentors that have kicked my ass and taught me so much. And I have many more to go, I'm sure. But what I've realized with a lot of these people is that for men, especially the men I've worked with, they aren't taking accountability and ownership for things. So this is like when you were speaking about like sovereignty and like the two polar, which side note, if you haven't read King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, Robert Moore and Gillette, this book
Yeah.
is a core book, which we'll definitely be recommending to anyone we work with.
And Iron John by Robert Bly.
Yeah, those are the two goats where like you kind of need both of those to get the context of everything we're talking about at a very deep level. But what I've seen with these men is like, okay, ownership, right? Extreme ownership. Jocko Willink, Goggins, Rogan. Everyone talks about it with like MMA and business and shit. But it's like a real thing that you can. It's simple to do. It's not easy because it requires a lot of shadow work. For example, like I have clients that are like either they got divorced or they're like really struggling in their marriage. most of the shit that's fucked up, yeah, their woman is doing things that aren't great, and it's not like they can't control their woman. There's a both sides, but it's simply because they see themselves as a victim. They have stories running that says, I don't have the power to change this thing. And actually, my nervous system feels safer in this fucked up energy than saying, enough. I'm owning what I feel. I'm pissed. I'm sad. I'm frustrated. And I want this to change. Here's a boundary. Here's an action. That's scarier for a lot of
Yeah.
men than taking ownership. Yeah, I fucked up. I made a huge mistake. I'm really sorry. How do I repair and make amends? Ownership is not like sexy. It sucks if you're way out of integrity. And that's the start of sovereignty. How are you going to go
Mm-hmm.
to full sovereign authority mode as a strong man if like you can't take ownership with your woman in a relationship or like basic things in your life?
Mm-hmm.
Like
And
very
I
simple.
find that it starts with practicing that with other men that you trust. Like I'm sure you've got your homies and your best friends, maybe some are virtual, your colleagues, your peers, but like, are you really able to have those conversations with them to really admit when you made a mistake? This is why men's work exists, and it's so important now because we come together to practice and hone those skills. And in these circles, when you learn to trust other men with your heart, with your failings, with your losses, you learn to trust yourself. And then you bring that into your community. Like this is the cauldron of alchemy here to bring the sovereign back alive, literally reviving. Someone told me recently, I love how we frame this. We all understand survival. We all understand thriving. But he posited there's a space in between, which a lot of us are in right now. We're learning to revive, survive, revive, thrive. We're bringing these archetypes back to life and breathing new life into them for the world that is now something that we don't understand. That's so entirely new.
Yeah. Yeah. Revivification and resurrection is the oldest archetype.
Mm-hmm.
Like think about it. Like Christ is just the story of a dude that came back from the dead, which in magic terms we'd call a lich or a a resurrected like cleric zombie. Um, but like the story of renewal, which is the oldest archetype of renewal, is just nature. Like literally, all the plants die and then resurrect every season. Like every time. It's amazing. This is the power of nature. But you're right. Like the problem with the modern world, and you said the most profound thing is like no one understands it. It's really scary because the chaos, like right now, with people, whether you love or hate Trump or you love or hate Trudeau, or pick your leader right now. The world's changing before our eyes. Like crazy shit is happening daily, and obviously the media and stuff overblows it and fear porns you. But just objectively, a lot of crazy stuff's happening. You can't understand the chaos. It's not meant to be grokked. We're like, oh, I know what's happening. There's a plan. So for some people, it's Jesus is coming back. He's going to wipe the slate clean. I'm saved. You're not. There's
Yeah.
everyone has their little model of reality that tries to understand the chaos. You can't
Mm-hmm.
understand the chaos. You do your little part, which it's little, but it's not. It's highly significant. But like in the scheme of things, it's like your
Yeah.
node to revive and renew. And that's what the hero's journey is about. It's about resurrecting the spirit of the dead father in the
That's
abyss.
exactly it. And like riffing more on this idea of like revivification, yeah, nature does this naturally, and we are most disconnected from nature than we ever been. We are part of it, and we're not allowing these wounded parts of ourselves to die so they can be reborn. Like every trauma that you hold in your body, there it crystallizes into some aspect of you that when you get triggered, when you feel sad or angry or envious or jealous, it's trying to protect you from something that happened in the past that almost killed you. And so if you keep holding on to these, there is no cycle of life. You're simply aggregating darkness and pain and chaos in a world that is far more painful, chaotic than we could ever imagine. So in order to go out there and to like claim your space in the world, to claim your service, to claim your land, your woman, your family, your peers, your allies, you need to practice doing it with yourself first. And this is why so many of us are trapped in these prisons online, in our homes, in our relationships, in school. It's because we haven't learned how to let the cycles complete within us. We've lost this. The rites of passages men used to go through would teach us this. We'd have people to show us. And again, I keep saying this. This is precisely the sort of arts and technologies that Kevin and I and our friends have learned and we're practicing. It's still new. but we know how powerful it is, and we can't help but talk about it and bring it to the world, because this we know is our service to the world. This is how we serve nature and God, and this we know is the way forward. We just know that, even though out there it's so dark and chaotic, but like we've had practice walking into the cave time and time again, and we know what it yields.
Beautiful, man. Channeling. It is dark and chaotic at this time, but in many ways, like more and more, I'm just in a state of like grace and like awe of most things. Like I pray every day, and I'm just like, it's mainly gratitude and awe for this era we're in. Because you can imagine, like, there's been plenty of apocalyptic eras. Like I'm watching Marco Polo right now, which is so fucking good. It's about like Kublai Khan. Like Marco Polo is like a ward in Kublai Khan's court fighting the
I gotta
Song.
write that down.
Like, oh, you would love it, bro. It's only 2 seasons. It got canceled, but it's Wong from Doctor Strange is Kublai, and he's crushing it, that actor.
Nice.
Anyway, at that time in the world, it was the apocalypse. The Mongol hordes completely dunked on and destroyed the strongest nation in the world, which was
Of course they did.
at the time. Like it's incredible, and like it was brutal. They're fucking beheading people and putting people on spikes. And it's just like dark, and they tolerated all religions. They let women have positions of power. They had very
That's it.
trade policy.
It's the wild sovereign.
Yeah, they had a very wild masculine archetype. Mongol warriors were legendary. They were raised by horse and bow. Show is so good. I'm like obsessed with it right now. But that is an example where there were no technology. There was no smartphones. You couldn't watch the news of, oh, the Mongol horde just took, Zhangyang, and like the city has fallen, and now they're coming to your town. It was the apocalypse. Like people literally thought they were the devil, and they were there to destroy Christian Europe and everything we hold dear. And the world went on, and it actually created a lot of beauty and change in the world. Obviously, the death and the destruction is terrible, and that's from wounding. Like that's traumatized people hurting each other. So the war part of it is unfortunate. The culture and the religious and the artistic revivals, that's what gave birth to the Renaissance. Without the Silk Road bringing ideas and merchants and like culture and products into Europe, there's no Renaissance. So the apocalypse, a lot of these Christian people are like, it's the end of the world, gave birth to one of the biggest renewals in our culture, which is an explosion of art, creativity, and sovereignty. Ironically, losing sovereignty or death creates sovereignty and rebirth in this weird way, if it's done correctly, as you mentioned, in these ancient rites and models.
And that's where we're at right now. Like, it's so hard to see because all the disinformation, all the misinformation, the division all the way down to the level of identity. But we're heading towards either a salvation or an extinction event. And apocalypse, to break it down into words, apocalypsis, it's not what most people think. It doesn't mean just pure destruction like fire and brimstone, scorched earth. It means the revelation of truth and what results from that. And as you can see now, people have a hard time holding the truth. They have a hard time finding the truth because there's no one there to help them understand it and to guide them towards it. But it also takes a desire to want that, to feel like that's important and not expect it. We've been living so long expecting to be given the truth. It just takes a keen eye to look at patterns and look at the past. I can't fully understand why people think things like the vaccines and big pharma and the powers that be that have definitely screwed us over and over again. Now things are going to change. Now it's going to be okay. I don't need to see the news. I just look at the patterns. And that didn't come naturally. I have an analytical mind. I'm an Aquarius. I'm full of swords. But it came to trusting myself fully, to really have that gut instinct to know what is real and what is true. And as men, we've all got this. And there's work on that with the lover archetype to develop that inner yin to our yang. This is where discernment comes from. You don't need to be flowing through life just following the fairies and the birds and the unicorn. It's like when you have that pull in your gut or that like swelling in your heart, you know what to do with it. You know what it means and you act.
Yeah, most people numbed that voice out. All the craziest decisions in my life is because I followed that feeling and voice, where I was just like what? And then it's just like, it's like it breaks through the noise. One of my favorite memes on the topic of like this adjacent is like their propaganda wouldn't be necessary if the situation was actually dire. Like, think about that. The mind control, disinformation, it's only necessary because the world is trending towards order and goodness and creativity and novelty.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
That's the nature of the world. That doesn't mean neat little rows. Everything, nature is super messy, and there's a lot of death and decay. But the powers that shouldn't be, the only reason the disinfo and all this shit's there is because they know a turning of the ages here. This is the whole thing of the age Aquarius or the Baktuns of the Mayans. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes, and it's cyclical. And there's all these cycles you can study. There's the 26,000 year one, which is what the Mayan calendar tracked with this precession of the equinoxes. There's a whole rabbit hole here, a whole other podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But that's happening. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens over centuries, depending on who you ask. And it's speeding up right now. And that's why things feel crazy, because it feels really unsafe when the acceleration's happening. Because it's like, whoa, my patterns can't survive in this new model, right? That's like the thing. Like, the death decay cycle only sucks if your patterns and models of reality are part of the decay that's the old. Then it feels like death. It feels like Armageddon or apocalypse, like the end times.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really important distinction. A lot of people, like, I don't believe there's no such thing as like a point of no return with change. So this idea you can't teach an old dog new tricks, like, oh yeah, my parents, they're X age, they're 60, 70, whatever. They just can't change anymore. It's like, that's bullshit. Plasticity goes through your whole life. Yes, it's stronger when you're younger, of course. But a lot of people, I think, we're going to live to see it. We're still in our prime here. We got many decades more on the earth.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see people that literally choose, like, back to the full circle of enslavement, loss of sovereignty. They'll choose that willingly over a new paradigm that's very scary and chaotic because it resembles nothing we've seen.
Yeah. They'll just say, yeah, give me the chip. Just, it's already out there. You can see and hear everything. What do I have to lose now? They just become nihilistic. And, there are some people out there too that just kind of like give it all to God and just like let things play out. And like, yeah, fate is one thing, destiny is one thing. But I think I read something in a Norse tale about the fates. It's like, okay, there's a baby on a table and it's crawling toward the end. That baby's fate is to fall off of that table and receive like a traumatic head injury. But if someone sees what's going on, they can intervene, and that takes a choice. So when you consider all these possible future scenarios, like, where do you want to put yourself? What choices are you going to make? If you're feeling the strain of this death and decay because you're holding it inside of yourself and you don't realize you have a choice, understand and mark these words. You do. You have a choice. You can contribute to the future that makes sense for you, where you're living in harmony with your family and your friends, and the food is clean and you can trust the medicine. Why do you think all these tools are showing up? All these plants, all these psychedelics, all these myths coming back, the old gods and old ways. Why do you think shadow work has become the popular thing now? And where does shadow work hail from? Like these warriors, these Norse, these Mongols. This is the energy, the wild energy that needs to come back alive so we can pick up our sword and learn how to cut through the bullshit and carve the path to the new life, a new age, not a new earth, but Gaia, back in connection with this living organism, beneficence and fertility. Like, the words are also destroying us too. All you gotta do is have the ears to hear and the eyes to see, man. But make a choice.
It's the guy in mind, man, speaking. That's what it is. Because like we're the antibodies of the earth. The bees are also part of this. Gaia is acting through us. The people, someone on the Instagram of mine is like talking about permaculture. That's definitely part of this. We have to go back and rewild. And then the men need to rewild. Like, I mean, wild women also are needed for sure. Like anyone who's ever met like a priestess, oracle, wild woman, like that is a very ferocious and healing energy. But wild men are needed too. We need, savages, primal men, like you said, because those men can't be domesticated or manipulated by these bullshit forces.
No.
They also, like you said, a big part of this, and again, this is all the ancient cultures, it's all about fertility. Most of the cults, rituals, and religions we know, I mean, even Mother Mary and all the female goddesses, it's all about fertility. And fertility isn't just let's get pregnant and have babies. Fertility is like fecundity. It's about the proliferance of all life. So it's
It's
not,
abundance.
yeah, it's literally abundance. And that's the craziest thing about I mean, the pups are getting fertile right now. It's like the more like passionate we get, the more they start to like fuck with my desk and stuff. Um, like that
It's a
energy
vibe.
is actually, yeah, they feel it. That energy is what we need. Like think about the world of money right now. And like obviously, like I haven't mastered money yet. I don't know if you have. I'm sure many of our viewers haven't. Um, money is what most people wake up thinking about and then go to sleep thinking about. Think about how crazy that is. When you can't eat money, you can't build a house out of it. In many ways, like a ripe mango is more valuable than just a piece of paper that means something. Obviously, if you can buy 10 mangoes with it, it does become valuable. So money's a game, we're playing it. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. I think money could be upgraded, which is why I'm very interested in Satoshi Nakamoto and the blockchain as an idea. But the abundance, and like you said, the loss of connection to nature, we are talking about that earlier, that's one of the gnarliest things, actually. There's plants that can literally cure you of almost anything, but those plants are illegal. Take this pill we made. Oh yeah, the pill is also addictive, it's expensive, and it has horrific side effects. Like that's one of the most that's a crime against humanity. And I'll always like come back to who pays for the advertisements and commercials? Who pays for a lot of these news outlets? It's all pharmaceutical.
Man, that's all out there. You can follow that paper trail. You can follow that money better than ever now. Just but you gotta be curious. You gotta want to understand and not just be told. Which fair. We've all been programmed to be employees. We've all been programmed to be told what to do. But once you're aware of that, then you can make a decision. You can make a choice. You can self-educate. You can find teachers and guides and mentors. We're out here, man. It's happening. And for some reason, I'm feeling like I want to presence this idea of like the true medicine in all of this is connection. Because I think the most lethal thing out there is the division and dissociation, which has started from like clean food, air, water, and the earth, and like different populations of people and countries. But now it's going all the way down to like ideology, axiom, identity, like turning us against each other, turning us against ourselves, shaming ourselves for like how we're feeling, and needing to defend the very words that we say and how we present and show up ad nauseum. These are the people that are in these VR worlds. All they do is defend what they are without knowing what they are or knowing what to do about it. And like that's at the core right now, is reconnecting to ourselves by being in safe spaces and circles where that is engendered through a lens of understanding and a desire to be curious about what we are. That's what we circle as men. Yeah. I'm
Yeah, bro.
feeling almost complete with this
Yeah, I was
conversation.
gonna say we should land the plane because we could just go forever. I mean, imagine if we're sitting around the fire with all the people that might be listening, and we're just, sipping amazing, hot cocoa or cacao or whatever, and just going all night in this conversation. Because this is the conversation. Like as far as I'm concerned, that's why I'm so interested in this stuff. I didn't choose this stuff. I was like you. I was obsessed with like stories and myths as a kid, which came through many outlets, and then as I've grown men's work and this stuff just found me. Like it's not like I set out and I was like, I want to be a coach and I want to do this. I thought I was going to be like a qigong or yoga teacher. Like I was obsessed with that shit. The problem that most people have is community. That's actually the problem, is they don't have the village. And we've talked about this on another podcast. All the stuff we talked about, the wild masculine, the sovereign man, the wild woman, food, bodily, spiritual sovereignty, all happens in context of the village. That was the first move of empires to dominate and destroy and subjugate, is you have to destroy the villages. That means destroying women, that means destroying men, the family. And once you've done that, yeah, then you're fucked. Because you have to do mommy and daddy. Oh, mommy and daddy will protect me, the government.
That's it.
That's what it is. It's literally infantilization. It's a hard word to say, but it infantilizes you. So you're a baby. You need mommy's social security. You need daddy's permission. You don't want to get the shot? Well, this shot is going to protect your friends. Daddy says you have to. Okay, daddy. Like, think about how crazy that is. People they're childlike and they're innocent ultimately. Like a lot in this interview or whatever podcast is probably like some people get triggered by it, but once you've seen this shit, it's like the red pill in the Matrix. You can't unsee it. You can't pretend
Can't
it's
unsee it.
it's painful. It's painful for me to see it and feel it. That's why I get so passionate about it.
Mm-hmm. And it's not until we start circling with people and creating like mini units of the tribe and the village that we really understand what we are. Because when we're left out to our just left to our whims in a place in a world that is so focused on survival and is waiting to be told what to do and lacks authentic connection, you've got no feedback. You've got no one who can tell you what they see and what they see in you. And so you can't be oriented towards your essence, your soul, and your gift. And so and this is also like so important before coming into sovereignty. Well, you can't have sovereignty over yourself without understanding your purpose and who you are. And so you need to start connecting to others who are really curious about you, who want to see you. This is why I'm here. I received that medicine by the gift of God and by so much prayer and through much darkness and confusion. And people started coming into my life that I could speak to about my pain and about my dreams and about my confusion and about my uncertainty. And like, I would just keep leaning in. They're like, brother, you're so good at this. Like, oh, I really appreciate that. You collect enough of that information, you're like, you start to believe it because it's true. And then you do something about it. You gain this awareness and this wisdom. And like Kevin said, you can't unlearn and unfeel the truth when it's embodied. Like that's embodiment. And that's why we're here, because we've received these gifts and this wisdom, this understanding, and we can't not share it with people. And so if you're here, if you listen to them, you felt this in your body, like, oh, that felt good. Like, I want to learn more about that. Check us out. Reach out. We're going to be sharing more about this in the coming weeks. We're building something beautiful.
Yeah, man. So epic. For those watching on here, definitely go check out Kyle Anker. He'll be tagged in the live. And obviously for folks that aren't watching live and watching the recording, wherever you're seeing it, yeah, if you have any questions, DM one or both of us. Make sure you hit that follow. And yeah, this is the first of many. We're just going to be riffing on a series here. It would be actually interesting to transcribe this one too, because we had some fire coming through. But super grateful for you, brother. It's all about the circle and the village and coming back to this. And if even one person became 1% more sovereign in their thinking from this, our work is done here, and I can rest.
Job well done.
I can rest easy after that.
And I'm thankful for the AI tools here in Riverside. They're going to transcribe all this and give me like the keywords and the titles and then throw it into Opus to make reels, because this is going to be on fire from here on out.
Yeah, let's go. All right, brother.
Thanks, brother.
Big love.